there where you can have a bit of a cup of tea and a think, and you can assess the damage. And say, not doing that again. Oh, I'd never do that again. Would you do that again? I'd never do that again. I'm not going to do that again. This world is evil. There's nothing good in this world. There's only Jesus, and He's the way out of it. It's very negative and pessimistic and skeptical and sinister. No, it isn't. This world is evil. There's nothing good in it. You see, if you think otherwise, you've been tricked. This world is absolutely desolate. There's nothing here. This is a sinking ship dump. It's a junkyard. That's why Jesus came. He didn't come on a holiday. He came on a rescue mission before He burns this place down. And He will utterly burn this. There'll be nothing left of it. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, good in this world but Jesus Christ, but the Lamb slain. Nobody was able to open the book but the Lamb slain. Nobody could open the seal but Jesus. Humanity was doomed. All of it. Until Jesus came and laid down His life. He is God. He is the one in control. He is the only helper. Everybody else is a mouthpiece for hell. And once you draw that line, once you make that distinction, it's very simple. But when you have made that distinction, the devil has nothing more to pretend, so he just attacks you the whole time. There's nothing to gain by trying to trick you, because he knows he can't. So he just attacks you. Because a wolf that gains nothing from hiding in the hedgerows anymore goes on the chase. When he's finished being all stealthy, thinking nobody can see him, then he legs it and he goes on the attack, because he's nothing more to win or gain any advantage by remaining in the hedges any longer, pretending to be something he's not. I'm a tree. No, you're not. You're a wolf. And you're drooling. And it's because you want to take a chunk out of me. Because you're a big, disgusting, gangly, raggedy wolf. Wolves in sheep's clothing. They just want to come and take the head off you. And then eat you for lunch. That's what they're like. That's the way they go on. They're mental. Demons and devils are mental. So this is how it works. If you take absolute chaos and put it in a body that is the similitude of a human being and the similitude of an angel, they have faculty They have capability, they have intelligence, but their chaotic nature will ruin all of the aforementioned aspects of their being and nullify them and render them useless. What I mean by that is somebody who's intelligent but doesn't have the Spirit of God will never see good fruits. You see, I was intelligent as a child, very intelligent. I'd have a high IQ. I am not stupid by any measure. I'm underdeveloped. My development was arrested. I have an underdeveloped intellect, but I'm far from stupid. Far from it. And that's why you can't judge a book by its cover. Somebody who's underdeveloped is not somebody who's stupid. It's too easy to call somebody stupid because they haven't been developed. Jesus said, call no man fool. The devil is only trying to arrest the development of people he knows are intelligent, unless he knows he can win them or defeat them. You see the point? If the devil doesn't think he can win you over to his cause, he'll try to destroy your life. Now, he's only in the business of destroying lives, but what I'm talking about is if he doesn't think he can use your intellect and faculty and physical capacities to his gain or the gain of his kingdom, after he has destroyed your soul by conquering it, he will try to destroy your life in this world to render you a lesser resistance to his agenda. So if he can't recycle you or reuse you, he'll try to reduce you. So it's like recycling in reverse. You know that? Reduce, reuse, recycle? Look at it the other way around. If he cannot recycle you or reuse you, he'll try to reduce you. See what I'm saying? And that's what's been done to my life all the way along. Sabotage, sabotage, sabotage by dirty, stinking, rotten demons that I didn't even know existed at the time. And people might say, well, it's too easy to blame your demons. No. You have to look at the entirety of the situation. You see, if when you're born into a family, that family is already conquered satanically, what hope have you? You're literally like Harry Potter under the stairs. The black sheep, the runt, that they want to arrest the development of. You're not going to wizard college. You're too stupid. Stay under the stairs. Now, there's something else in that, but we won't get into that now, because I don't want to teach you witchcraft. So, because I don't want to know it myself, but there are things that we learn by being attacked by witches and wizards that we didn't seek to learn, but we learned by being exposed to the attack. Now, if you were born into a witchcraft family, and you're kind of one of the later children, things are very much stacked against you. Because there was a family there before you got there. There were established relationships and vested interests on your destruction. Why? Because with demonic presence, there's conceit, vanity, and selfish end. That's what a demon is. A demon is a selfish entity. It's all they're thinking to do is feather their nest like a crow feathers his nest. Nothing else to it. So they'll make excuses, but the bottom line is they went away to serve the devil in Freemasonry. They got into wizardry for its benefits, and because they wouldn't follow God on his terms. And you were born into that family. Now, the fact that you're born into a family that before you were even born was involved in witchcraft and wizardry and demonically conquered means that you have very little chance of succeeding in the world. Because not only are you not encouraged or advised well, as a friend would advise you, but you're now isolated from a family, a homestead, and basically thrown to the dogs when you go out into the world. Why? Because nobody's afraid to do harm to you, because you don't have a family defending you. So it's like the frying pan into the fire. And all the time that's happening, there are demonic entities trying to sabotage you for your lack of knowledge, because of your lack of advice and counsel. See, there are two ways to counsel somebody. One can be done in a way that is deliberately designed to deter you from taking that advice, because the advice is given in a way that isn't designed to befriend and nurture. See, if I say to you, come here, I want to tell you something, don't do that, because if you do that, this is what's going to happen. And I talk to you in a friendly way, like a brother. But if I say to you, now you better not do that, because if you do that with it, now I've already alienated you. I'm already talking down to you from the get-go, from the outset. I'm already pushing you away from me. I'm already giving you built-in deterrents in the message that are going to naturally shut off your ears to the advice. Because you're being barked at. You're not being spoken to. You're being barked at. And even if the barks contain information that's actually beneficial, because it was delivered in the form of a bark, you're not going to absorb it. It's against your nature to absorb a bark when somebody's barking at you. And this is the way trickily demons operate in the background. Demons come between human beings by trying to influence the tone of their voice to switch off the inclination to hear what the other one is saying. It is as simple as that. It can be as simple as that. But the person is still able to say, I tried to tell him, he wouldn't listen. But they weren't actually trying to tell you. As a friend, they were barking at you. As somebody who was only doing something that they knew they would be forced to do. Look, I have to tell you this, will you do it? And already switching off your ears. Because of the way they were talking to you was not conducive to you opening up to them, to listen to them. Bear in mind, you're only a child. So you'll feel as though you've done something wrong already. You're already in defensive mode, shut down mode, hide in the corner mode. Because of the way you've been spoken to. And they know this. Whereas somebody who comes on, come here till I tell you. If they approach you as a friend and as a friendly advisor, then you're much more likely to be receptive to what they're telling you. The devil knows that. That's why he comes as a friend. But when the devil comes as a friend, he's not giving you good advice. But when good advice has been given, they come as an enemy. And in both situations, the idea is division and the uptake of the wrong thing. And that's witchcraft. It's manipulation by inflection, by design. It's the Trojan horse angle and of attack. You see, I can be your dad or your mum, and I can give you advice. But if I'm bawling and shouting at you like you're an imposition on my presence and existence, how likely are you to take the advice? Not very, because you're already in defensive mode. And people who are in defensive mode are not inclined towards reception of a message. They're inclined towards rejection and isolation, thinking that they've done something wrong. And somebody who's clever, they'll know that. They're trained up in witchcraft. They'll know that. They know how to play people. They know how to play people. So if somebody doesn't want to do right by you, but they feel compelled to at least appear as though they're trying to, that's something they might do. They might talk to you, but they won't talk to you as a friend. They'll talk to you as an enemy, and they'll give you the sense that that you're an imposition to them, and that they don't want you near them. They don't like you around. They don't want you near them. They don't care for you really, so that you're less inclined to actually take the good advice that they're giving you, so that you'll preserve yourself in life. Because they don't mean you well, they mean you harm. But they have to be seen to give you the right advice. And that's called sorcery. It's the mixing of things to harmful effect. You see? So be careful. When somebody comes with good advice, but they come sounding like your enemy, you don't need their advice. Because they don't mean you well. The problem is, when you're a child and they're your only source of counsel, you're in big, big, deep doo-doo. Because now you've entered into a world surrounded by enemies, and the person that's supposed to be your advice and your counsel has joined their ranks. So you're going to trip over every hedgerow, you're going to stand in every pothole morally, and you're going to lack the wisdom to get you through the decisions that will preserve you on your way up. And every time you try to succeed at something, you'll be sabotaged. Every time you show an aptitude, you'll be sabotaged. They'll try and frustrate your efforts because they're trying to conquer your heart and soul. And that's what witchcraft is. It is just a sabotage attempt. It's just a sabotage effort. There's nothing more to it. And they try to conquer people early on so that they can save face. And implement those people in the battle strategy. Because they've conquered them. Jesus said, you're a slave to whatever defeats you. So obviously Jesus wasn't standing beside me giving me advice when I was a child. He's in the heavens. I wasn't totally absent of conscience, but The point is that when you're faced with overwhelming stimulus or circumstances which are repeated, you're inclined towards and ushered into making the wrong decision. Now, that doesn't absolve you of all responsibility, but it does mean that the likelihood is you're going to fail. And then what's worse is the people that are supposed to help you come against you and curse you when you fail as a result of their failure to do their job in raising you. See the point? So somebody might say, claim the role of your advisor, but they don't actually fulfill it. So they're not worthy of it, unfortunately for them and for you. And that's why you'll see so many people who have lots of aptitude, who've been sabotaged, who've been then blamed for the wrong decisions, who've been cursed and poo-pooed and exiled and outcast. And it was simply because the devil sabotaged them and led them into every trippy trap that was available in their area. That's why I got into drugs early on, substance abuse. I was, disruptive in class because of demonic interference. Just mischievous spirits. And so early on in life, I became quite disheartened and was trying to escape my environment. And drugs, of course, they're going to show up because it's pretty much the escape that everybody can turn to. And substance abuse or solvent abuse is relatively inexpensive and available to children. And that's why so many children end up in it. They're demonically led to it. It's disgusting. And then once that gate is opened, it's likely to follow that person into adulthood. If there's no serious, careful intervention. And this limp hand, pretendy effort to help you, just so that those people around you can save face. Say, we tried to help him. No, you didn't. Not really. Because if you did, they'd be helped. Right? So, it's just what it is. So beware. And this is why whenever I'm out in the public area or, preaching in the public, I always try to mention or regularly try to mention to people, especially young people, to get wisdom. Jesus said, get wisdom, get knowledge, so that you'll know how to preserve yourself in the absence of good counsel. You can go and seek it yourself. If your parents don't train you up in the way that is right, so that you know to seek it for yourself. Because school education is not necessarily wisdom, and you'll sense that as a child. So you have to get wisdom yourself, because it doesn't come a knocking on your door. Because you're surrounded in this world by demonic entities who are only set on sabotaging you. So get wisdom. And hopefully you haven't been conquered by demons, so that you're just basically their puppet. And then getting wisdom will actually serve your soul and not just your belly. Does free will exist? Were you forced to ask me that question? I don't have thoughts on prohibition. to prohibit. If free will didn't exist, you wouldn't need to prohibit anything, would you? You see, when God frees you from this world, you don't really need to think about prohibition. Is that the removal of free will? No. You just don't desire to do things that would need to be prohibited. Because to desire to do evil things is wicked. There's no wickedness when you're reborn. None that you seek to fulfill. This is why demons try to attack us at night time when we're asleep. When our conscious mind is not fully in operation to deny something or say, I'm not doing that, I'm not going to do that. Because you're in a sort of a semi-conscious state. So your flesh is much easier to excite, the lesser and lowly desires of your flesh. And it just stands as a reminder that the flesh is totally unworthy of life. This body is totally unworthy to live. It's actually a curse unto us. Paul said, "Who will deliver me from this body of death?" This is a cursed body. It's cursed. Why? Because it has a fallen nature. I don't want to stay in this body. I'm not ungrateful, but I don't want to stay in this body. It's wretched. Absolutely wretched. It's the only point of access or aggravation or agitation that a demon or a devil has is your flesh. You should want to shed it as quickly as possible. Wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death? You see, Paul seeking deliverance means he's not suicidal. He has no desire to end his life. But he also doesn't really want to remain in this body indefinitely. And is asking the question, who will deliver me from this body of death? He knows the answer. But sometimes to ask a question gets other people to ask the question of themselves. Calls it to remembrance. The only one who can deliver me from this body is Jesus. It's a cursed body. It should be sent back to the dust for its unwillingness to conform to what is good. It's an unruly body. And ought to be destroyed. And that is the truth. So, I mean, your teeth are falling out of your head, your body's breaking down, you have a pain in your arse, you have a pain in your back, you have a pain in your hip and your shoulder. You have IBS and IBD and Crohn's disease and every conceivable problem. And you want to stay in this body and hang around and kick it with some demons that don't have a good thought in their heads? Not me, no thanks. Offer all the gold in the world, and gold's heavy, by the way. So, what are you going to do with that when your body crocks? Drag it around with you all day. It becomes your burden. Travel light, guys. Travel light. You know what the devil's like? The devil's like the one that has you thinking about your poverty until you don't have money. Then he'll give you money. Why? Because he doesn't want you fasting. He wants to keep you in limbo. Every time I run out of money and consider fasting, the devil shows up with 20 quid or something. It's just what he does. He's just trying to dement us. Is there ever a time when somebody's giving you 20 euros is bad? Offering you, here's for your good works. Why does it always show up when you're just out of money? Because the devil wants you to go through the process of desiring money. He's trying to become the hand that feeds you. He's so desperate to become the hand that feeds you. But he'll never be the hand that feeds us. He's more likely to be the hand that starves us than the one that feeds us. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that uttereth forth from the mouth of God. We live by God. We don't live by this world. I'm not subject to this world. Yes, I care for its inhabitants, but I hate this world. This world is a shithole. It's a shithole. People talk all day long about how they're going to improve it. You're not. It's going to get worse. It's a shithole. The only thing God's going to do is slow down the rate at which it gets worse for our sake. It's a sinkhole, shithole, festering pit. Is that not a favourable account or assessment? Well, I don't care. It's the truth. You telling me the world's getting better? Is shit a curse? Shit is just another word, a short, abbreviated word for excrement. Would you prefer I say excrement? I can say excrement if you want. Shit has a ring to it, though, that I quite like. Why come to Clonmel? Is there a house there for me where I can get rent allowance? Clonmel, where's that? Tipperary, isn't it? Clonmel in Tipperary. I once knew a lady that moved to Clonmel in Tipperary. Her name was Laura. No, just junkies. Well, is that why you're inviting me to Clonmel? Because there's junkies there? At least I'll have plenty of people to talk to when I'm homeless. They might make more sense than the politicians, even though they're intoxicated. At least they'd be willing to talk about the present issues. Place needs Christ, of course it does. Sure isn't the devil there poisoning the people with his concoctions? Heroin and cocaine and speed and every type, probably fentanyl and every type of illicit substance. He doesn't care if it rots your brains out. Couldn't care less about the population of Clonmel. He laughs when somebody dies in the cold of heroin overdose. I don't think people realize who the devil is. He doesn't care about you. Nothing. There's not a sensation in him that resembles care. That is a snake that needs a heel on the top of his head to crush his brains so that they never function again. Do you understand? It's just a venom-spitting viper. It is a grass-dwelling shithead. It is no good. I said shit again. Maybe I should behave more like the Catholics and not say the word shit. You'll shock the congregation, Father. First of all, don't call me Father. I'm not a priest. I'm a simple preacher. And I like to say shit sometimes because it helps me vent my anger without sinning. Shit is not a curse word. It's a descriptive of something that should not be included in the body. And it feels good sometimes to say it. Shit! I'm not yet perfect. This world is a shithouse. I've seen enough of it to know, believe me. It's a little abstract butterfly that I painted, and then I cut it out and I masking taped it to a paintbrush. And I stick it in the window to put a smile on people's face. Gives the children something to look at when they're walking by my window. They look in sometimes to see what's in the windowsill. Now they see a little butterfly. It's as close as I can get without it blurring. Can it land on my nose? Ooh. Hello, Mr. Butterfly. Oh, he's going away. He's coming over to you. Do you think the junkies in Clonmel would find that funny? Maybe I'll bring it out on the street with me today and see what people think. They'd be able to make and give to the children, wouldn't they? That's really simple. I don't know why I haven't seen something like that before. Maybe it exists. Thoughts on Lenin or Palestine? No thoughts whatsoever. You're a little butterfly fella. Might try and find the most serious looking person today and do that to them. Wait, hang on a second. Can't go out looking like that. Just go. There's somebody. Flutter, flutter, flutter. It's flutter, flutter, flutter. Flutter. There's a butterfly landed on my head. Looks like. We'll leave him there for a little while. I was just sitting here and the butterfly came along and been with me ever since. That's kind of funny, isn't it? I might go out like that today and see what people do. Did anybody see my butterfly anywhere? I was looking for him. He's a leafly butterfly. I'm not crazy, I'm just having a laugh. I promise. Method in the madness. Xylitol. Protects your teeth, destroys your microbiome. Have you seen Mr. Flutters? He's my butterfly, not my lobster. Oh yeah, sure that's the crack. Will I go out like that today and see what happens? Be unpredictable. It's very important. Would you employ me looking like this? Maybe in the circus or something. Stay you. What would the children think if you went out like this? What would the adults think? Would they think similar things to the children? Are they allowed to do that? Just wondering. Or is that under the prohibition? We prohibit anything that looks like adults with joy in their eyes. Yeah. Any other questions? Any serious questions? If a place needs Christ, generally it resists Christ. Did you know that? It's just the nature of the spiritual climate and environments. If a place needs Jesus, it generally rejects him. It's a pretty solid abstract butterfly, isn't it? It'd be like a moving piece of art. This is a little leaf that I carved out of a piece of wood. It's rather simply carved, isn't it? Rather, I filed it, which was even harder. Simple, but effective. But effective nonetheless. Okay, guys, thanks for engaging the platform. I'm going to go and preach the gospel, because Wexford needs Christ too. Perhaps sometime I'll visit Clonmel, but I'd have to have the bus for a place to stay. It's expensive, more expensive perhaps than you think. You can't just uproot and go to Clonmel and not incur costs. Different if you had a place to stay while you were there, or somebody invited you from a Christian community. Problem is, most of those claiming to be Christian are the devil's wolves. It's a very evil day. Blessings in Jesus' name. Holy kiss.